All right, hello everybody. This is the September Google Grants webinar. We are going to be using Angels for Angels as our case study for the month. They are a nonprofit that's basically looking for social entrepreneurs in East Africa and just trying to help them connect and rebuild their community. And Michael, why don't you expand on it a little bit? Michael is the founder and owner of this nonprofit.
Thanks, Jeff. So Angels for Angels, we provide startup capital for social entrepreneurs, like nonprofit organizations or social enterprises in East Africa. A lot of the resources that American would-be social entrepreneurs have at their disposal don't really exist in East Africa, so we're trying to fill that gap. So that's us.
Great, and he just redesigned his website. It looks really nice. You can check him out at angelsforangels.net. So that's .net instead of .com. So yeah, Michael, called me up, said he wanted to be the case study, or actually I called him up, and he was looking to just basically attract more people to the board, right?
Yeah, we're really looking to grow our board to get not only more board members, but really committed and people that are passionate about what we're doing.
Yeah, so now I'm just gonna one thing I wanted to talk about at the beginning of this webinar, because I think it applies to pretty much all nonprofits, and it has nothing to do really with Google AdWords. It's really about protecting your website from hackers. I've seen this a lot recently, and it happened to Michael, actually. The reason his website looks so nice is because he had to rebuild it and redo it because it got hacked and didn't have a backup. So I have David Innes today on this webinar. He's a web developer from Seattle, and he's just going to talk about the basics of backing up your website, and if it's a minor, hack, repairing it. So here are some screenshots of what it looks like if your website gets hacked. This is a plugin called WordFence, and basically you just install it, and you can scan the website up, and it'll tell you have all these problems. Some of the times you can just click repair the files or delete the file that's not supposed to be there. But other times the files in the website that are necessary for it to run can get infected. And when this happens, it becomes quite a bit more difficult to fix the problem. So having a backup would really help. And David, why don't you go ahead and expand on that a little bit?
Hey, yeah, so one of the things I find out as a security expert, people say, well, WordPress, it must be really insecure if you spend a lot of time doing that. And really what's going on is that about a quarter of all websites in the world are WordPress, and people don't keep them up to date. And just like anything else that's popular and common, hackers like to get in. If you've got a popular site, they can slip their own advertisements for unsavory products into your site, so that when Google scans the site, they say it sounds like you're endorsing their unsavory pills or whatever. The other thing is that they can use it just like they can use Windows machines. They can take your website over. You wouldn't notice it, but they can be attacking other people, including like Yahoo and Google. So as Jeff said, cleaning up is hard.
Making backups is easy.
Making backups is easy, and actually keeping your site secure is surprisingly easy. So just because it's WordPress, you hear about it getting broken into, but that's because there's quite a lot of people pointing it out and doing something about it. The first thing you do is you keep your software up to date. WordPress makes it very easy to update your software. You log in and use the update tools. Another thing that you can do, just like anything else, is having good passwords. Make sure it's not 12345. Use a different username than admin. Little things that you might, you wouldn't lock your house with a dime store padlock, and you wouldn't lock your car. You wouldn't leave your car unlocked in a parking garage. Same thing. You want to make sure that it's secure and easy to and easy for you to get in, but harder for anyone else to guess how to get in. Now, as for backups, yeah, backup. The easiest way to fix your site is by going back to a backup before anything went wrong. Yep. And that's true for all kinds of things you might like to do. If you're bored on a Saturday afternoon and you might think, oh, let's see if I add this. Oops. Let's see if I delete that. Oops. Having backups is it's just basic hygiene. You can get a backup from your company. If you have HostGator or GoDaddy, you can log in there and get pretty clumsy backups, or you can install one of the more handy backup plugins that goes with WordPress, or if you have Joomla or Drupal, you can use those. There are a number of free backup plugins that you can get for your website, and a couple of premium ones that aren't that expensive and create a great deal of peace of mind when it comes to restoring after a backup.
It's a lot cheaper than redoing a website.
Lots cheaper and lots faster too. I can recover a backup in as little as 15 minutes if there's a backup, and in as much as 2 or 3 weeks if there isn't one, and we have to rebuild it from archives on the internet or your old notes. That's just, yeah, backup. I can't say it enough.
Yeah.
Early and often.
One tip I want to give here, because this is how actually Michael's website got hacked. You do not want to use the user admin. Admin is the first thing hackers go after. And the sad thing is WordPress very often defaults to that as the first user. So you want to delete that user and make a new one for yourself. That's not admin, because if you have admin, it's just an invitation for them to try harder.
Right, and yeah, WordPress no longer does that. But unless your site's very, very new, then yeah, it used to propose that. That was nice. It was convenient, and then hackers discovered that it was fun to break into websites. So now, if your username is admin, then all they have to do is guess your password, and that means that's half the battle. So use a new password or a new username like my site admin, or something that you can remember, but other people are unlikely to guess. And something else that I recommend doing, if you have it, it's pretty easy to add a new user and make them the administrator. It's also pretty easy to take your common accounts and make them an editor or a author. You should only log into your site as an administrator when you really need to go under the hood. If you're in a coffee shop, or if someone otherwise gets hold of your password, they can sniff or even just look over your shoulder. If you're logging in just with a day-to-day account as an editor, then all they can do is mess up a few pages. They can't really go under the hood and destroy everything or subvert everything. So I always recommend having a super user account, is what I call them, for the administrator. And then even if you own the website, just give yourself an editor's account. The permission is editor. And then the last thing is, you might have I've logged into some websites and there might be 5 or 10 people with accounts and they're all administrators. That's unsafe too. You think you're doing them a favor, but most people don't need to make all the changes on your site. So if you go in and you change them back to editors too, they'll be able to do almost everything that they need to do on the site, except update software and change menus maybe. But they won't be able to break the site, and neither will anyone else who goes in.
Yep, and it's so much better to figure this out before you have a problem. So
oh my gosh, yeah.
Prevention is key, really, when it comes to hacking. And like David said earlier, it's a lot easier than you think it is. And if you don't want to mess around with it, it's definitely worth the money to get someone to help you out.
Yeah, and I can help you out. And the great thing, if you do have WordPress, which many people do, there are lots of other people who can help too. Of course, I would always say call me, but really, just call somebody who's done it before and is comfortable doing it again, and then back up, back up, back up.
Yep, and we're going to post a couple of our favorite plugins and basic tips for WordPress security on the Facebook page and in the YouTube comments for this video. So now we're going to get straight into the Google AdWords. So this is a snapshot of the Google AdWords that we've set up for Michael and Angels for Angels. We've gone over this in previous webinars, but if you just Google Grants, it'll take you to a website where you can sign up for the grant. They're going to ask you for your EIN number, which is on your 503c form. And with just that, you'll be up and running in Google AdWords pretty quickly. So this is what it looks like. And basically, there's really 2 or 3 steps on how to do this. So I'm going to go through the basics and then show you some ways that you can optimize. So you get started just by making a campaign. Okay, a campaign is basically just a name for the marketing strategy that you're going to do. Within the campaign, there's going to be ad groups, and then within those ad groups are just 2 components, are ads and keywords. So basically, a campaign, you will tell the campaign where you want this strategy to hit. Usually, I'd recommend for nonprofits with the Google Grants to start off with the whole world, because until you kind of want to start broad and then narrow down, because getting started very often in Michael's case, we saw a lot of traction very quickly, but it's not always the case. So very simple. You create a campaign, you name it. Here I'll just say Google Grants webinar. Then in the campaign, you're going to create an ad groups, and you can call it whatever you want. In this case, I asked Michael a couple of questions. Who is he looking for? What is he trying to do with the Google Grant? And through those questions, we've kind of been able to set up some of these categories. So he told me he was looking for East Africans, immigrants, or parents of well-connected, successful professionals. So what I did was I created the campaign. In the campaign, we created a couple ad groups. One of them for social entrepreneurship. So we're looking for those, social entrepreneurs. Then I made another group with website keywords, which I'm going to get into in a moment. And then a third one for nonprofit board members, which is what he was telling me, what you heard him say earlier, and what he's really looking for. But while getting started in Google AdWords or with Google Grants, is you want to start as broad as possible. You don't want to get too targeted, because there is a limitation of $2 per click. Now, if you've ever done Google AdWords before, you'll know that the majority of high-value competitive keywords go way over $2. They can go up to 10, 20, even more. So what basically this does is it's free money, but they restrict you from basically competing on the popular, valuable keywords. They have to make money, so they can't be giving people free money so that you can just buy up any keyword you want. So in general, you kind of have to go for, you start broad because you don't know what's going to actually work out in the end. So the first group that I want to talk about, and this is really the easiest one and the one that everybody should do because it requires almost no research on your end, is the keywords from the website. And there's a number of ways that you can do this. So if you go to your website, Angels, in this case, Angels for Angels, and you scroll over the title, it's going to say African Solutions to African Problems. So this is basically the keywords that show up for the website. So if you Googled, African nonprofit, ideally you would show up somewhere on this list. So this is the easiest form of keyword research. When you Google something like African nonprofit, if you scroll down all the way to the very bottom of the Google search page, it's going to say searches related to African nonprofit. So these are essentially the keywords that are most similar to this one at the top that you originally Googled that still get searches online. So this is about as easy as keyword research gets. So if you have, if getting started, start Googling a couple of things you'd like to show up for, scroll down to the bottom where it says searches related to, and copy that entire list. So you can, just copy like that. And you would go back to Google AdWords, and I'm going to make a new ad group so you can just see how this works. So I'm going to call this webinar test, and then go Google search. And you just paste, and it's going to paste that list of keywords. So African nonprofit, African American nonprofit, blah, 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 blah. All the keywords from this related part at the bottom of the page. So, and then you just say save and finish. Now that's about as easy as keyword research gets. I'm going to show you 2 or 3 more ways that you can find keywords without really much extra effort on your end. So the second easy way to find keywords after Googling is to go and check out your Google Webmaster Tools. Google Webmaster Tools is basically the Google Analytics for keywords. And what that means is if you go here, and of course you have to set up your website in this first. So, and it'll also tell you if you're hacked. Here it says hacked content detected on Angels for Angels. So once you've added your website to Google Webmaster Tools, it's going to show you the keywords that currently attract traffic to your website. So if I click now here, Angels for Angels, and on the left-hand side, you would go under search traffic, search analytics. And here you go, you get search analytics. So these are the keywords that are currently attracting traffic to your website. So I would click all these boxes. It shows you clicks. Clicks are, very simply, clicks to your website. Impressions are when people scroll over your link but don't actually click. So whenever you scroll down the page, all these links are getting impressions. So impressions are basically visibility. Clicks are actual traffic to your website. Click-through rate is very simply how often people click, versus actually just scrolling over your links. And position is the average position in Google when someone searches for something. So when someone searches Angels for Angels, the average position is 1, which is great. If you see the name of your business on that list and you're below 10 or above 10, that's a problem. So every 10 results is 1 page of Google. So 1 is the first result on the first page of Google. 6 is the 6th result on the first page of Google. 18 is the 8th result on the second page of Google. And remember that 90% of people don't make it to the second page of Google. So if you're not within 10, you basically get no traffic. You're almost invisible. And then even if you're on the first page of Google, you really, really want to be in the top 3, because 70% of traffic clicks on the first 3 results. 30% clicks on the first result. So the top 3 is really where you want to be. So if you're not within 3 for the name of your business, you should probably get some help. The next step is then, trying to rank for keywords that matter to you and being at least within 10. So you'll see that if we go down the list here, it's Angels for Angels, Angels, Michael, the owner, and then Suicide Hotline Kenya. So, here it's going to tell you basically whether or not you are attracting traffic and the right attention on Google. You'll see here this, weird language. I don't even know what that is. That is from the hackers. So that's one reason you don't want to get hacked. You will get all kinds of weird traffic to your website, and it'll make it hard to understand what's going on. So here you got Seattle Small Business Accountants. So basically, now that you have this list of keywords, now you know the traffic that your website is currently attracting. If you scroll all the way down to the bottom, you'll get this little download button. You press download, and it'll download it into an Excel spreadsheet. So in the Excel spreadsheet, it's going to look like this, and now you can very simply copy this list of keywords. So for some people, this is going to be more useful than others. In Michael's case, because of the hack, and just because we're only really getting started on the SEO, Google Grants is kind of being our foot in the door. We haven't done too much SEO outside of that, and because of that, the keywords don't really accurately reflect what he's trying to accomplish. So you'll see that mostly it's the name of his business, some weird hacked keywords, and then if not really anything that he's going to want to use. I think the first one is Seattle Small Business Accountants, and that actually has more to do with your other business, right? A4A accounting. Right, Michael?
Yes, sorry, I had to unmute myself.
No problem. Yeah, so some people, you just come here and all you need to do is export, copy, and go back to Google AdWords and import it. So I'm going to make another ad group, because you want to organize your keywords into different ad groups, basically because you have to match up a list of keywords with a certain ad. So it's good to organize your keywords. So here I'm going to add another group. I'm just going to say Google Grants. We'll go Google Webmaster Tools and paste. Save and finish. So those are two easy ways to do. First, you just Google the way you want to show up in Google. The second thing you do is go to Google Webmaster Tools. See, Google AdWords does not like those special characters that the hackers were putting in. So, all right, now save and finish. And then the third way you can get Google, or you can get keyword data without getting complicated, is you go to Google AdWords. And we're in Google AdWords. So inside Google AdWords, you'll see up here on the top menu, you can click on Tools, and under Tools, you'll get Keyword Planner. So if you click on that, it will take you to to this tool of Google's that basically finds keywords for you. It can be as simple as going to your website, copying the URL of your website, and pasting it into the tool. You'll see here 3 sections, your product or service, so basically keywords, or a page on your website, or a category. I think the easiest one is really just pasting your website into the landing page section. Now when you hit Get Ideas, it's literally just going to scan your website and spit out a list of keywords. So this is actually how I created so far the most useful ad group that's been working for Michael. This first one you see at the top right here, website keywords, is just Google AdWords. Google AdWords, I just scanned up the website here and pressed the download button. And same thing, it just downloads to a spreadsheet. So you open up the spreadsheet and you just copy the list of keywords. So I just went like this, copied and pasted into an ad group in Google AdWords. So this one, that has been the most successful for us. You'll see that if you look at where we've gotten the majority of hits, it's been from that. So Google AdWords really works even when you haven't done any SEO for your website. Google Webmaster Tools works a lot better when you've already done some SEO, when you've done some online marketing, because you've had a chance to learn and optimize it, and that kind of translates to the quality of keywords that it's going to send you. Google AdWords, on the other hand, the keyword planner, it scrapes all the data from all the advertisers in the world. So it's basically only going to show you keywords with high monthly searches, which is, in your case, exactly what you're looking for. So Google Grants can be really reduced into 3 or 4 steps. First step, you sign up for the website. The second step, you make a campaign. Third step, you make an ad group. Fourth step, you add ads and keywords for those ad groups. So now I'm going to touch on that a little bit. So I'm going to look at the one that's been successful for us, which is the website keywords, the keyword planner. So here I just imported that list of keywords. Now that you've got a list of keywords, you've got to set up an ad so that when someone Googles university news, one of your ads pop up. So now you've got your ads here, and this is basically probably going to be the hardest part to do because you're going to have to think about it a little bit. So the first one is the one I made without any feedback from Michael, and I pretty much just used content from the website. We help social entrepreneurs benefit their community. We also work with universities to teach and inspire the next generation. When you're making an ad, you'll find out that you have 30 characters for the first line of the headline, and then another 30 characters for the second line. So you get 60 characters in total for the headline, and then you get 80 characters for the description. So the purple part is the headline, the gray part is the description. So you figure that out, and you add a couple ads to Google AdWords, and the rest is pretty much done automatically. Now the way this works is when someone Googles university news, it's going to look at your account, figure out how much you're willing to bid per keyword, and with Google AdWords, the max for that is $2. And then it's going to look at your ads and see which of your ads would best fit that keyword. search. So in this case, university news, it's probably going to look for ads with university in the results, and that's why. And so it would have probably picked this one. So in Google AdWords, the main thing is, you don't need to spend a lot of time doing keyword research getting started. I would start off by doing a couple Google searches the way you'd like to be found. Then take those related searches and make a group out of that. Then I'd go to Google Webmaster Tools. Sometimes there's really good, sometimes it's a more targeted subsection of keywords for what you do versus the Google AdWords Keyword Planner. The Google AdWords Keyword Planner is really going to show you what's popular and what gets searched for on Google, versus Google Webmaster Tools is just going to show you what's worked for you. But anyways, you take all these keywords, you import them into Google AdWords, and then the next step really is to come up with as many ads as you can think of. Because the more ads that you have, the higher chance that the keywords that you've imported will end up getting used. If all your keywords are, let's just say, for instance, about East Africa, and then your ads say nothing about East Africa, you're not going to get too many hits. Because sure enough, when someone Googles East Africa, it's going to find out that you're willing to bid. But when it goes and looks for some ads to put on the search engine, it's not going to find anything that looks good to Google. And the way Google thinks about this is, they really only want to serve ads that they can make money off of. So they're going to try to serve ads that will get clicked on. So if you Google something like, university news, and all your ads are about East Africa, they're not going to serve those. So this is really these are the basics of Google AdWords. I've mostly gone over keyword research right now. When it comes to figuring out ads, a good place to do research for that is in Facebook. If you're in Facebook, most of us spend quite a bit of time in Facebook. But from now on, just start paying attention a little bit to the ads that here. Whenever you see sponsored, one thing I would start to do is start clicking on ones that are nonprofit related. Google will learn basically what you've been clicking on, and will start to serve you more ads that are related to that. So, instead of just getting a whole bunch, if you never click on ads at all, you'll actually just get a mishmash of all kinds of different things. So if you see an ad you like, click on it or save it, because you can basically reuse this later. So Facebook really is where all social media activity is. So it's really just a great place to do research. Another very interesting tool for figuring out how to do ads is called Spyfu. It's a website that basically allows you to run scans against your competitors and see what they're spending money for on their ads. So right now, I'm just going to bring someone up. Let's go donate to a nonprofit. And also Googling. This is another way to look at ads. If you just Google donate to a nonprofit, I can guarantee you there's probably going to be a whole lot of ads. Yep, right here. First 3 results of the page. Ads. So you can look at these for inspiration. Donate to a child in need, worldvision.org. Support a child through gift giving, give a chicken and help a village. Disaster relief, corporate giving, so this will really help get the juices flowing, help you if you're getting stuck with writer's block or whatever. So Google, how you like to show up. Ads aren't always going to show up for the longer. So if you went donate to a nonprofit in East Africa, still ads show up, but just keep in mind that ads aren't always going to show up. So the last nonprofit we were working for was for cleaning up Martin Luther King Street. So the first keyword phrase they tried to rank for was Martin Luther King, and guess what? They're not going to serve ads for Martin Luther King, because most people, when they Google Martin Luther King, they're trying to learn more about him. So in this case, they had their research was different. Even when you do Martin Luther King nonprofit, you don't see any ads. So a good place to start is, donate to a nonprofit. You'll get ads on that for certain. Or so, what was the one I searched? Yeah, donate to a nonprofit. So now you can go even further with this. So I'm going to take a look at worldvision.org. You can now, with Spyfu, copy this website and run it through Spyfu. Now what Spyfu is going to do is show you all the ads that they're doing. So I think it looks like worldvision.org is just a landing page. So I'm going to pick a different one, donate to a nonprofit. So I'm going to scroll down the bottom, donate to St. Jude. So let's click on St. Jude. I'll copy their URL, stjude.org, go back to Spyfu, paste that. Okay, here we go. So St. Jude spends about $90,000 a month on Google AdWords. So they are probably doing Google grants and then more. And this becomes the problem with nonprofits, is that hopefully if you're first to market, you will have pretty easy results. Example, Michael. If you're not first to market and or you don't have very easy keywords to attract traffic, for instance, the Martin Luther King nonprofit, you know, a lot of the keywords that they're aiming for, Google just isn't going to serve ads to. So you have to get more creative. And then also if you have competition that's big, like St. Jude's, you know, they're going to be spending money that isn't in Google grants. And when that happens, they're not restricted by the $2 per click limitation. So the first nonprofit that we worked for in this webinar series was a museum, a car museum in LA. And we had great results getting started. We maxed out the budget for, I think, 2 or 3 months, not in a row. And this is something I'm going to talk about later. You can actually get your $10,000 a month up to $40,000 a month if you can basically optimize the system really well. And so what happened with them was we were doing really well, maxing out the budget, and then sure enough, I'm pretty sure the competition figured out that we were cutting into their traffic. And basically they started bidding up all the keywords that we were doing. And you know, if they're willing to spend real life money, that's an opportunity to them. In fact, when we got started with them, they were spending, I think, $25,000 a month. And they're not a nonprofit. Their competitor was not a nonprofit. It's a car museum. It's probably one of the most famous car museums in LA. They have all kinds of really nice cars. And basically, yep, they went from $25,000 a month up to $40,000 a month. And I could tell that through Spyfu. And you know, very quickly, we were having the problem basically that we couldn't find keywords anymore, and they were stealing our keywords. So it's a good idea to get started on this Google Grants thing as soon as possible. That way you can hopefully avoid those kinds of situations. And hopefully you can get your Google Grants budget up to $40,000 before a competitor comes in and starts kicking you off. So I got a little bit off topic there, but basically Spyfu can be really useful for looking at competitors. If you see ads for searches that you are aiming for, take a look at them through Spyfu. You'll be able to see how much money they're spending, whether you need to be worried about the fact, you know, that they're using money outside of Google Grants, because that could be a problem. And then if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see the actual ads that they're spending money on. It gets really into detail, which ones are successful for them, how much money they spend on which ads, what times they do the ads. All this information is public, actually, you know, and it makes sense. When you Google something, you see an ad, that's public. Everybody can see that. So this information is all public. Spyfu, this is all free to use on Spyfu. You know, they do limit you to the top 5 results, but I think for the majority of small or nonprofits, it's going to be more than enough. So if you're having problems figuring out ads, if you see an ad that you like or don't like or you're worried about on Google, Spyfu is a great tool for digging a little deeper and just learning a little bit more about how they're doing it. So I've gone over now keywords and ads, which is really the majority of Google AdWords. So once you've done that, now basically you want to come back and check out Google AdWords once in a while and basically optimize it. You're going to find out that certain keywords are basically getting all the, you know, are burning up all the budget. And, you know, sometimes they'll be for keywords that you're not interested in. And, or if you have, let's say 20 ads and your least favorite ad is getting 90% of the traffic, then, you know, maybe you want to rethink about the other ads and or take that ad out so it can give the other ads a chance to get some traction. Google's going to try to serve the ones that make the most sense to it. So starting off broad is great because you need to figure out what could work, but then you need to also refine it so that you can get more of the results that you're looking for. So right here, you'll see that out of our 2 ads, the one that gets all the hits, 96% of the hits, is from this "We help social entrepreneurs benefit the community." So, and I think a large part of this is because this ad has very little to do with nonprofits, and has the keyword social entrepreneurs in it. So again, just the idea of it's less competitive. You know, join a nonprofit board. I can pretty much guarantee you that almost every nonprofit out there that's using Google Grants is making an ad of some sort that's similar to that. And because of that, it's going to be so much less likely that that gets served. You just have a lot more competition. So you do want to think outside the box. And if single-handedly, if I was to make one recommendation when doing this yourself, it would be to not waste time on the keywords, to go through the steps that I went over before, you know, Googling Webmaster Tools and AdWords, and import all those keywords in. Then the next thing I would spend time on is creating a whole bunch of ads, because it's really going to be the ads, the variation of ads that help you to figure out, you know, what works. And you'll later, after you figure out which ads you like and which ones work, that's when you'll start refining the keywords. You typically don't want to do it the other way around. So in this case, you know, we like this, you know, this ad works for us, right, Michael? I'm unmuting you.
Yes, I'm unmuted.
Yeah. So, you know, in this case, we're happy with this. So I'm just going to click on it and look at the keywords that get served. Oops. So here we go. So, and then it's going to sort it by clicks. So you'll see that almost all of our clicks actually come from university news. And it's going to also say rarely shown due to low quality score. Now this has a lot to do with the ad that is pointed towards. So in this case, it's just because, you know, maybe it's because news isn't in here. So, you know, universities makes it half happy, but the news part, you know, it wants to be a little bit more refined. But basically, you know, after you've figured out which ads work, which ones you want to keep, then you would go to your keywords and you can start to either add keywords or remove keywords or set a budget for specific keywords. Say, you know, here we have business entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs. Maybe we decide with Michael that what we really want is more traffic from entrepreneurs. So, you know, then we can basically say we can either up the limit on entrepreneurs. And in this case, I started off at $1. So this gives us the opportunity to go up to $2. But, you know, not too much wiggle room there. So normally what it's going to do, your options are going to usually be to remove keywords that are getting too much traffic. So, you know, university news, you know, gets a lot of traffic. It's you burning through a lot of the budget. And, you know, if we wanted to get more traffic to entrepreneurs, you might want to remove that one. So in general, though, when it comes to Google Grants, I recommend not worrying too much about being targeted, because as I was saying before, and this is really something I think all nonprofits need to know, if you can do a couple of things, Google will actually up your $10,000 a month budget to $40,000. $40,000 times 12 is $480,000. That's $500,000 in Google ads every year for free. So typically, I think it's better to just max out your budget, because if you can max out your budget for 3 months, I think it's out of 6 months in a row. I'm not sure if it's in a row. I think it might be. So 3 months in a row, and within a 6 month period, they will up it from $10,000 to $40,000. So I usually just think make as many ads as possible, which gives you the opportunity to reach a bunch of different people. It'll also make your keywords more effective. But really at that point, to not worry so much about the optimization and just try to get the Google Grants Pro, which is what they call it. So right up here in the top right-hand corner, you're going to see in this ad group, add 162 keywords. Google AdWords is really intelligent. It's going to try to optimize for you automatically. So if you click up here, add 162 keywords, it's just going to give you a bunch of keywords that it thinks applies to you and that you should add. So this is why I think it's usually important to do the 3 different kinds of keyword research. By Googling, how you'd like to show up, you add keywords that you're looking for. Then Google Webmaster Tools is going to show you keywords that have worked for you already. And then Google AdWords is going to show you the most popular keywords. Then Google AdWords is going to just keep learning and learning and adding more and more and more to that. So really, if you can view the keywords, and in this case, it's going to be Social Entrepreneurships University, you can look at the keywords, but again, I think it's more important to max out the budget and get your Google Grants up to the pro version. So really, no need to even worry about it right now. I would just hit apply, apply, just keep hitting apply. Let the machine take care of this for you. So if you come and check back in on Google AdWords, let's say once a week, every single time you come back, it's gonna have more keywords to add. It's also got these other categories, but they're not as common. So there it says number 3, create more ads. If there's one thing I do, one recommendation is always that just keep making ads, because that really increases the efficiency of the keywords that you import. And for the most part, the keyword part of this whole process is really handled by the technology. The ads are really where you're gonna kind of have to word things, to make humans happy. So you'll see on this list of things, negative keywords. No, I wouldn't worry too much about that, because again, until you get up to Google Pro, Google Grants Pro, that's not something I would worry too much about. So, and then the 4th one is improve your website to make it mobile friendly. If your website is not responsive, it's going to lock you out of over 50% of the traffic you could be reaching. And in fact, ads these days, the big market that hasn't been tapped yet is the mobile market. There's so much competition when it comes to desktop ads. And not only that, onto the desktop, people have ad blocker. There's a lot of research out there that says that ads on the desktop work on less than 10% of the population. So not only are you harming yourself because you're locking yourself out of 50% of traffic in general to your website if you're not mobile friendly, it's really going to reduce the efficiency of Google AdWords and your Google Grant if you're not a mobile friendly website. So, and that's on this tab, you'll see the 3rd tab, opportunities. So really in Google AdWords, you're going to spend the majority of your time in campaigns, opportunities, and then tools, keyword planner. So, that's the basics of Google AdWords. From here, it can get a whole lot more complicated. I'm not going to get into it too much, but you can set goals, you can create different types of landing pages, you can really dig into the analytics and get very targeted in your strategy. So I've gone over a lot about how to do Google AdWords, how to set it up, how to optimize. Now I'm going to show you the results and what it can do for your nonprofit. So here is Michael's Google Analytics. Now, if you look at this, at first you would think, the Google Analytics wasn't working. It's not recording any data. But that's just how much of a jump we've seen since we turned it on. So he used to average 7 people a day, 6 people a day, 2 people a day. Now we are averaging 178 people a day, 175 people a day. It has made that much of a difference. So if we now compare last month to this month, it's an increase of 440%. So not every nonprofit is going to have as an easy of time and see such results as Michael's. Depending on how much competition you have, you're going to see results similar to this or a little bit less. So I was talking about the first nonprofit we worked with, the Automobile Driving Museum in LA. We saw similar results like this for 2 to 3 months, and then as soon as the competition realized what was going on, that dropped significantly, and it only got worse and worse and worse. So, and then for the second nonprofit, which was Beloved Streets of America, the one that cleans Martin Luther King streets up, a lot of our keywords just weren't valuable. And Martin Luther King, they weren't going to serve ads to that. And then the other ads that we could aim for, donate to a charity, are very, very competitive. So and then another part is how much content do you have on your website. If you don't have enough content on your website, the tools, Google Webmaster Tools and Google AdWords aren't going to work effectively. You know, if you have no content, then they have nothing to do research on. So there's a bunch of factors that can come into the success. But for the most part, for nonprofits, there is no excuse not to be getting at least 150 to 200 people a day. And that's what Google AdWords equals. You get a $10,000 a month budget. That comes out to $330 a day, which at $1 a click is 330 people. On average, and you know, maximum, the max you can spend is $2, which is you know, 165 people a month. So that's the minimum you're going to get is 165 to 330 plus people a day. So and I mean, that's on the first page of Google. So there is no excuse for nonprofit not to be getting a healthy amount of traffic to their website. Because of this, you have a huge advantage when it comes to SEO versus for-profit businesses. So we all love nonprofits. Google loves nonprofits also. Don't let your favorite nonprofit miss out on this opportunity. You know, with Google Grants, you can recruit volunteers. You can attract donations. And in general, you can just share your cause and get more visibility for what you're doing. I mean, I don't think I've met one nonprofit that wasn't passionate about what they do. So there are other people out there that would be passionate about it also. And you know, very often what happens is nonprofits neglect their marketing because they think that it's too expensive. You know, their budget must be spent in other ways. But this is free money. You know, there's absolutely no excuse not to be on the first page of Google and to not get some, you know, some visibility for your cause. So, you know, things can get a whole lot more complicated from here, but in general, you absolutely must get started on this today, really. A lot of people these days think that Facebook ads are, you know, the best place to spend your money. And I've learned through a little bit of my own experience that that's just not the case. People will do anything to ignore ads, right? They'll install ad blockers. They will just, even if they like what the ad says, they will ignore it completely on Facebook. And Google, it's a little bit different. You know, very often if the search for what they're doing doesn't show, you know, let's say when someone Googles university news, and suddenly your ad pops up for a nonprofit. Nonprofits, I think, have a much easier time getting their ads to be clicked than regular businesses. Because again, everybody loves nonprofits. It's easy to get behind something that's, you know, doing it because they care, that they're passionate about what they do. And again, they're doing it for free. There's something human in, you know, appreciating that. So, you know, don't let your favorite nonprofits miss out on this. It's absolutely essential, I think, for any nonprofit website. So, you know, I'm going to now hand it off to Stacy, which is going to talk a little bit about how nonprofits can use social media to kind of, you know, do a similar kind of strategy. And also, social media is really important because it'll teach you to engage with your audience, which is really the name of the game today when it comes to SEO. Engaging with your audience will provide you with warm leads versus, you know, people that aren't interested. And more importantly, it's going to give you ideas on how you can improve your Google AdWords system. It's going to give you ideas on ads, on keywords, on demographics. So, you know, another way you can do a real quick research on your website, and let me bring up Michael's Facebook, not mine. So if you go to your nonprofit Facebook page, you can go to Insights. And in Insights, it's going to give you more data about, you know, who's coming to your website. So if you go in here, it's going to tell you, you know, which posts got traction. And then it's also going to tell you who views the website. So if you go to page views, you can go by age and gender, by country, by city, by device. So all I'm trying to say is the more you use social media, the more data you're going to get to help you improve your Google AdWords and to get more targeted traffic as opposed to people that just, you know, accidentally found you. You know, you're going to find people that you're aiming for, similar to, you know, like what we talked about at the very beginning about, you know, Michael wants to target to meet East African people, immigrants and parents of, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So this is a good place to start, and social media will just tell you, yes, that's actually, that's correct. That's the people that, are engaging with you. Or it'll be like, nope, females are just as interested, or if even more so, or, people in West Africa, or, people that are interested in, just supporting other nonprofits, whatever it is. Facebook is where 82+% of all social media activity has. So it really actually is a better place to get research on your analytics if you engage with your audience than Google Analytics is, because Google Analytics has gone through the stages basically where a lot of the data is hidden from you. It's also a lot more complicated to understand and use. So go ahead, Stacy. Just give them a couple tips on how social media can help.
Yeah, definitely. So can they see the chat? I just posted that link that you sent me in the chat. I don't know if that's visible to the audience. Yeah, blog.bufferapp.com.
Let me open that and put it on the screen.
Okay. So I was looking through this earlier, and this has a lot of good tips about things that nonprofits should be doing. It goes, I think the first thing is what's that word? Pinnacle? the pinnacle of engagement. And it's saying that if you want to be successful in your nonprofit, to engage with your people on social media, which are your clients or potential clients or donors, which is very true. What I try to do before I go into any of this list is, first of all, just make sure that businesses or nonprofits are on a steady and consistent update schedule, because I think so many businesses try to go to these really cool tips before getting steady updates out. And that's the most important thing. If you're posting inconsistently, or getting on a kick and posting a whole bunch and then not posting for a couple weeks or a couple months, it's going to be a lot harder to see any results, right? It's kind of like anything in life. If we're doing things consistently, we see results. If we're trying to eat healthier or exercise, we're seeing results from that. But if we just kind of do it when we feel like it or when we have time, it doesn't really work. So that's always my number one thing that I tell the businesses: find a way just to get it done and decide what you want to do. If you want to post an update once a week, make sure you're posting something good once a week. You want something every other day, make sure you're on it. That's the biggest start. Then you can go into engagement and making sure you're responding. And then Jeff, can you scroll down a little bit? I can't remember, or I guess I can see number 2 on here as well.
And what you say real quick is Buffer. Me and Stacy love Buffer. Buffer is that's going to make what she just said so much easier. So.
And yeah, the second one, again, it says social media is growing fast. You should be doing it. But again, what I see with nonprofits is either they do it really, really well and they're just on all the time and they're super engaged, or they just don't have the time and don't do it. I haven't seen a lot of in between, honestly, with nonprofits. It's either like they're all over the place or they just don't have time. So I think, and then number 3 on here, it says they're short on social media stuff. And that's why I think it's okay to do a little bit first. I don't think you have to go all out right away and hire a whole full-time social media person at all. But even if it's just dedicating to once a week, you're going to post on, say, Facebook and Google Plus and Twitter or whatever platforms you choose. Find one thing. Just start with one. Do it really well and then start adding. One thing I've seen a lot lately, too, is a lot of businesses, they'll hire someone on staff or they'll hire an intern or a volunteer. And unfortunately, one of the things I'm noticing, and I'm not by any means perfect, but a lot of people are trying to save money or time hiring inexperienced people, and it is just not working out. And it's kind of sad to see sometimes how bad even there's no proofreading going on, that sort of thing. So if you're going to use someone on your team to do social media, I suggest looking at them, see how their writing is in emails, right? See if they've blogged before, kind of what that looks like, to get an idea of what their strengths are. A lot of people are like, oh, I want to do social media. I'm really into doing Facebook personally, but it really is a lot different. I think people just say, oh, if you're in your 20s or 30s, you're good at social media, and it's really not the case, unfortunately. I think the most important thing to look for is someone who's a strong writer, who really understands what you're trying to do, and who's consistent. And it's not just like one piece, right? Like if you have a company, for someone to do social media is a whole piece of your marketing. It fits in with the Google AdWords. It fits in with your website, fits in with your in-person marketing. So there's a lot you can do to tie it all in with one person. So really think about whoever you're delegating that to, or if it's yourself. Is this your strong point? Is this something you want to spend time on or money on? I do basic updates for people for about 30 different businesses right now, just to keep them up to date, which works great. It's just a basic update that goes out. And that's money, that's $150 a month I charge for the, just basic updates. However, you might get someone on your team to do it. And that's still money, right? Because you're paying someone on your team. It might be cheaper, but then sometimes people are having someone on their team do it and they don't quite get the quality. So you really need to feel that out and kind of see how it goes, because it's just so different. The nonprofits that I think do really well on social media that I've noticed, because I'm on a lot, there's two parent nonprofits. One is PEPS, which is Program for Early Parent Support, and I'll put that in here. And then the other one is West Side Baby, and those are kind of two nonprofits that I follow, and they're super on top of their social media. So that's always nice for me to see, be like, okay, this is how to do it. I think they do spend a lot of time and money on it, but you can really tell it's not just kind of like there's something every once in a while. So the other thing this talks about is the preferred social networks for nonprofits. That's number 4. And then number 5 is measuring Twitter followers. And that's another thing that once you get the basic thing going, that's one service I offer, is building a Twitter following, which is one of my favorite things to do, because with social media, it can be so slow to see results, right? Because they're a little bit hard to measure. You can measure clicks, but when it comes to turning clicks and turning in social media views into actual money, it can be a little hard to measure, because it might be someone likes my Facebook page and then they donate in a year. Or it might be they like my Facebook page and they share it with a friend who donates. So that can be a little bit hard. But what I like about building the Twitter following is it's kind of immediate results. It kind of feeds that need for instant gratification that so many of us have. So the other thing I wanted to bring up is that, and there's a lot on this buffer article. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but there's a lot. Jeff put on his blog post that I think, can you share that again? There it is that you can put a donate now button for your Facebook nonprofit page, which is cool. Instead of, I think usually it's like join our mailing list. There's a couple different options. The only thing with this is you want to make sure you have, of course, an up-to-date relevant Facebook page, because with all sorts of businesses, especially nonprofits, some people start nonprofits as just like a passion project, but they're not really making money or not doing it. If you're not showing your credibility through your Facebook page or through all parts of your business, then you're probably not going to get as many donations as you might otherwise, right? So, I mean, I think the most important thing, and it's just what I talk about with all social media for everyone, is just make sure you're being consistent. Pick a plan, even if it's a minimal plan. Once a week is better than like 5 times in a month and then nothing at all for 3 months, which totally happens because we're busy, right? So figure out what you want to do, and there's no like one way to do it. There's very things to optimize it, but I tell people start with basic, and then you can always add on from there. Don't try to do everything at once, because then you're just going to be spread too thin.
Yeah, I think the case with online marketing, you can very easily get overwhelmed. So it's so much easier to start off with one thing, figure that out, and then move on to another thing. So this is an article I've written on my website, and I have a bunch of stuff related to nonprofit marketing and nonprofit SEO. This is 4 budget-friendly strategies for nonprofit marketing. Number 1, obviously Google Ad Grants. It's free money, very budget-friendly. Number 2, make some videos. You're going to find out that videos help you in so many ways. It helps you in organic SEO, helps you on social media. Think about when the last time that you read an article top to bottom. People have terrible attention spans these days. If you have a message that you really want people to digest, video is one of the best ways to go. We're going to see a reinvention of television, except on your computer, in the next couple of years. So number 3 on this list is make a small budget to boost your best content on social media. This just has to do with the fact that organic reach on Facebook is getting worse and worse and worse every single day. So if you're not boosting posts, you're most likely not going to see a lot of traffic. And again, this depends a lot on your competition. If your competition is doing ads already, then this is a lot less effective. But if you're first to market, you can see huge results for a small amount of money. You know, it's amazing how many people are like, oh, I don't want to spend $5 a day. Well, if you spend $5 a day, you know, you're now going to be getting an advantage on all the competition that isn't spending $5 a day, which can usually be, let's say, 90% of the market. So again, you know, certain industries are more competitive than others, but with a very small amount of money on Facebook, you can see huge results. And then
the other thing I've done recently, Jeff, that's been just night and day for my Facebook views is I switched to Buffer from Hootsuite and I scheduled it at the most optimal time, and I'm getting crazy views now. It used to be not so much, but I'm getting in the 400s and 500s for my views now versus before I was getting like 25.
Yeah, there's a number of reasons why Buffer works better than Hootsuite. I mean, but yeah, I love Buffer too. And Buffer, so easy to use compared. Hootsuite's really great for seeing content and doing research. But you know, everybody has different ways of doing that. So I think Buffer really just streamlines the process down into what's important for you to know. And yep, I could not speak more highly about Buffer. I'd say if I was going to put my number 3 really on this article should be sign up for Buffer before.
Right. Well, and I'm pretty heavy on Hootsuite for my clients, but if it wasn't such a pain to switch over, I think I'm slowly going to start transitioning just because I've had better luck with it. It is harder to edit posts on there, so there's definitely pros and cons, but I'm happy with it lately. Very happy.
Yeah. So yep, this is we're going to be doing a monthly webinar like this. Every single month, we're going to pick a case study and basically use them as an example for other nonprofits. Hopefully, it makes this information a little bit more digestible. You know, I think examples usually are the best way to learn SEO because that way you don't get, you know, distracted or intimidated by all the jargon. You know, there's a list of things to do, and you can see the results for a similar nonprofit. The results definitely speak for themselves, I think. So, yep, if you're interested in setting up something similar to this for your nonprofit, setting up can be quite kind of easy. The optimization can be a little bit more hard depending on your competition. So, you know, my company does SEO strategies for small businesses, nonprofits, organic and paid. And yeah, if you're interested in doing something similar to this, please just go to my website. I have plenty of articles that will help you get the basics done yourself. And then, yeah, once you start to see some traction, you start to see maybe some donations and revenue, and you want to reinvest into it, I can definitely help you optimize it to get even better results. So, and if you're interested in being one of our case studies, please just go to our Facebook page. We have all our upcoming events there, and yep, you can sign up to be one of our case studies in there. So our October case study is still in the air, so November is, both of them are actually open. Both October and November are open. So if this is just too intimidating for you and you'd rather just have me do it from top to bottom, go check that out. And yep, and you might get lucky. We pick one per month, so depending on whether you want to get it done immediately or whether you just don't want to do it yourself, that would help make that decision for you. So yep, a lot of this, I'm going to put a lot of the information that we've gone over today in the Facebook page, event page, and in the YouTube comments. So if you have any questions, please reach out to me via my website, via social media. You can also find Stacy, David, and Michael through the Facebook event page. All right. If you guys want to say goodbye, go ahead. I'm unmuting everybody.
Everyone, thank you so much. This was amazing. It's really great to see how much progress we've gotten in such a short amount of time. So thank you very much, Jeff.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
You first, please.
All right. Thanks for joining our webinar.
Thank you. Bye.
And we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.